I've been playing a little game called Metal Hellsinger, which I
Mm-hmm.
think it launched about a week or two ago.
Yeah, it was in September for sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was definitely a recent release, and yeah, so I saw what grabbed my interest about this game is that it looks very much like Doom for
Mm-hmm.
all intents and purposes. But the main hook is that it is if you can call it this, a rhythm-based shooter. I don't know if that's a genre or subgenre.
I think it's quickly becoming a genre.
Yeah,
Because you've got games like this, you've got BPM, which is kind of the same thing.
yeah, and like
So
to
yeah.
to be perfectly honest, this is a sort of game I'd probably be interested in playing, but I don't know if I'd ever go out and buy it to play it. But the fact that it's on Game Pass is like, yeah, I'll give it a
Mm-hmm.
try.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I played it. It's only to get to the, to roll credits is only 4 to 5 hours. So it's not a very long game, but replayability is incentivized for, a number of reasons. But let's just dial it back. So Metal Hellsinger sees you playing a character called the Unknown, as the demons refer to as the Unknown. She is I think, half human, half demon who has come to hell looking for her voice. It's gone. They
Cool.
took it from her. And
Pretty sure there are other places you could look first.
I mean, you could have, yeah. But and that just entails you going through many stages of hell, bringing ruin to a lot of demons and doing just lots of cool stuff, but all according to the rhythm of the song that is playing on the stage. So the main hook of Metal Hellsinger is that you need to essentially just shoot in time with the beats of the track that is playing. And depending on how well you do that, you will build up a multiplier. And in building up this multiplier, the music actually ramps up, which is very cool. So if you start out as a stage, it'll be just, let's call it drums, like a drum beat, and you start fighting enemies and shooting. And by the end of your multiplier, you've got, vocals on top of bass and electric guitars, and it's very metal. I mean, it's in the name, it's Metal Hellsinger. But yeah, this game surprised me. It's actually really, really fun. I called it, it feels like Doom because it really does feel like Doom. I think it got
definitely
a lot of inspiration from that game specifically, and that genre of just shooting a lot of things. But I think what makes it almost stand out a bit is just the fact that you are trying to keep in time with the song that is playing, and it's just good fun. Like, it makes you become very aware of the songs that's playing. So if you're watching the footage now, you notice there by my crosshair there, those arrows coming in, that's just the beat of the drum beats, and you're trying to time up everything with that. And when I say everything, I mean not just shooting. Even when you reload a weapon, you're incentivized to reload according to that beat. And you might be wondering, well, what if I just shoot not according to the beat? And the punishment is that you just don't do as much damage, or if you completely
sometimes you
offbeat,
straight up don't attack.
Yeah, if you're completely offbeat, you just will not attack. But so, for example, if you attack slightly offbeat, if your weapon were to do 100 damage, getting it perfectly on beat will make it do like a significant bump up, like 120 to 150 damage. So like you really have to try keep in time with it. And it just makes the whole game feel a lot more cinematic as a result. Like, it feels good. It's weird because there's a lot of just chaos and destruction happening, but it almost makes it feel like an opera, if I could call it that, or like a stage performance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's a lot of fun. It's not a long game. You can breeze through it, and yeah, I really enjoy it.
But like you said, it's got the replayability, I think, where it's like every level you've got a leaderboard at the end.
Exactly.
And the aim is just kind of to do that. So
I mean,
I've only played the first level, and when I got to the end, your score was higher than mine. I was like, I've got to play it again.
Yeah, you must know. But that's so. So you obviously played it then after I'd started. So did it show me specifically, or did it show you like the leaderboard?
No, it showed your name because we're friends on Xbox.
Okay, but did it show you globally as well, like where you found?
Oh yeah, globally I was like, fucking, I don't know, 20 or 200,000. Like, I was nowhere.
Yeah,
absolutely,
but I mean,
nowhere.
I think given that we've just played the game and we've learned how, we're still learning how to play it at that point, you could very easily come back and then, I think breeze through a lot of these levels. You'll know when enemies spawn. You'll have you'll probably find out which weapons work best for you. So I think in total, there's not a lot of weapons in the game. There's maybe 5, 6. I know you get your sword, you get a default skull, which is like, I'll call it
like
your
a
pistol,
simple
if you want to call it that. Yeah, you get
the shotgun,
dual pistols. You get, it almost feels like a rocket launcher, but it's not. It's just like an AoE weapon, and you get these. It's very cool. I don't know how to describe them. They're basically like 2 weapons you throw and they come back. Kind of like boomerangs, but they're not boomerangs. So it's cool because you get to a point where you throw one, you wait a bit, throw the next one, and then by the time you've thrown the next one, your first one's come back. So you get into this very cool rhythm. Yeah. So I don't know, what did you find with your first out of the game?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I played a game not similar to this. It was more isometric top down called Sound something. I can't even remember.
That is the beginning of this year, I think.
Yeah. So, and that kind of like soured me a lot on the idea because the music never felt appropriate for the sort of action. Like there would be ones where it was way too fast and ones where it was just way too slow. And it just felt like they threw music at levels without consideration for how it works. This already in the first level, I could tell like it was very well measured. The song choice and the tempo was measured for the sort of action and the encounters that you were given. And it was both precise with how it demanded like accuracy on the beat, but also like it felt right, to me. So, I mean, they have a calibration tool. I did that and it said that nothing needed to be changed. So I was like, okay,
this is how now I have a good monitor and audio setup.
Exactly. I was like, okay, things feel fun.
Yeah.
But it immediately like clicked, and at the same time, like it's a cool hook, but I'm not constantly thinking about it. No. It's like I can hear the music, I can see the enemies, and I'm in tune with those things. It's not I have to keep looking at my crosshair, to see when to keep on beat. It's
exactly that. I think initially when you start the game, it is like you're trying to not break the muscle memory so much as maybe forming the muscle memory. But if you play any shooter, and I'm going to stick with Doom because that's obviously the closest comparison, you're just running, jumping, and shooting at your heart's contents. Like it doesn't matter when you shoot. So having to be conscious of like, oh no, I need to time it with the beats. It takes like a few minutes, if not just the first level. And then it's second nature. You're just playing, and it's quite cool how you just know to click in time with the beats.
It's got really good, I think, audio and visual feedback for when you miss a beat or don't get it perfectly. So you're well aware without having to like stop and take stock of that, which I think is important in a game that is needing to be so fast.
But even like visually, the visual language of the game reinforces it. So if you're watching the footage, you'll notice those explosive crystals, they throb in time with the beat. And some of the enemies, I think most of the enemies actually have glowing parts that, again, like throb in time with the beat. So it's like these little subtle things that keep you in tune as well, which is very cool.
It's very well considered. It's very clever. They've taken this idea and really not just like, oh, this is a cool core idea, we can just slap it onto a shooter and that's enough. It's like, no, there have to be a lot of considerations to make this feel good consistently. So but it is very Doom. I mean, if you're watching, you can see the shotgun that's very reminiscent of Doom. You've got the quick kills, like you press E or Q or whatever, and that like launches you towards them and does like a very quick kill.
It gives you health as well.
Yeah, it gives you health. So that's 100% how Doom works. But it's really good. I can see just via your gameplay, like you're doing a really good job of mixing up weapons, which I think is required in when you start getting to more complex arenas to keep the score up, because that's ultimately the goal. Like you want to keep your multiplier up. And the only way to do that is to keep on beat, to keep attacking, to keep killing enemies, and not take damage. Because if you take damage, your multiplier goes down. So it's a really fun mix of mechanics, I think.
Yeah, and I think if people who really get into this game that will replay it will learn that there are some I suppose like any good game, there are some not explicit mechanics that you will figure out by yourself. Like I learned that it's actually, so some weapons will insta kill some of these weak enemies. So for example, these pistols, if I time my shot perfectly, it'll instantly kill those like sort of cannon fodder enemies, which isn't helpful if I need to get health, which means I'd have to switch to another weapon. But to trigger that opening to push E to like do a finisher. But I also found that when you do a finisher, it actually does a bit of an AoE damage effect, which can be helpful in clearing, if enemies are grouped up. So people who really want to, up their scores and figure that out, well, I think we'll have a good time trying to figure out, what is the optimal way through a level? What is the best sort of combination of weapons to get me through this?
Yeah. And I guess as you keep replaying levels, you're like, okay, in this combat encounter, there's going to be X number of this enemy and this enemy.
Yeah.
I have to go through them in this order because that's the most optimal to keep the score high and stuff like that. And I mean, that's probably exactly how people are reaching high levels on the leaderboards. So, yeah. I will say this probably has one of the most satisfying active reloads I've ever seen in a game in a long time.
Yeah, and the shotgun one is so good.
It's like if you reload, one of your little arrows on your crosshair turns yellow, and if you press reload again on the beat with that, it does this really satisfying like shove in of the shell on the shotgun and click up very quickly. It's very good.
But I did laugh because I think a lot of these games, one of the most important things about them, it's like an unwritten law, but the shotgun always has to feel good. Like in any shooter, your shooter, a good shooter is measured by how good its shotgun is. That's like the unwritten law. And I think what made me really appreciate this game is how the shotgun is just so in time with it's tuned for the game. So like you'll shoot and you'll load the next shell like in time with the beats as well, which is very cool.
It's very good.
It's just super satisfying, yeah.
They watched that opening of Doom 2016 and they're like, yeah, we can make a game around this.
It is like I enjoyed it. It was quite a nice surprise to just dive into this game and be served this. I don't want to call it mindless, but it's like just mindless shooting fun. So yeah, would really recommend if you have Game Pass, like no brainer. Definitely give it a try, see if it clicks for you.
And I think 4 hours is. I know there's been some criticism critically in reviews that it's too short, but at the same time, I'm like, this is a very demanding game mentally, like to consistently be on beat. So I think the idea of make it a score attack thing as opposed to a 12-hour campaign, I think if it was like 12 hours, even 8, the novelty of it would have worn off way before.
By the end of my first playthrough, I was like, that was perfect. Anymore, and I would have been like over it. So yeah. I
think, funnily enough, that's part of the problem that Doom Eternal runs into is it's too fucking long.
Yeah,
it's way too long. When you compare it to Doom 2016, it's just it's too much. By the time you get halfway, you're like, I'm kind of done with this. So, yeah.
But that's Metal Hellsinger. Definitely would recommend.
Nice. And it's on Game Pass on PC and Xbox.
I think it's probably across. Is it on PlayStation? I don't actually know.
Would like out on PlayStation? Yes, but I don't think it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there's no Game Pass there, so yeah. Sorry,
not yet.
Had to make that clear. Yeah.